Hey guys, and happy Halloween! Here I am, my cat costume. If you guys haven't seen my Warner reviews, they'll be up pretty soon. And until then, here I am, my cat costume. Today, we will be looking at another dark Disney story, a Terror Zone story. Today, we'll be looking at The Jungle Book. Now this one is pretty dark, so get ready. Not too dark though. Chapter 1. The first chapter introduces us to Mowgli and the other animals, and they live in the jungle. How they live in the jungle. It starts out with an old wolf waking up from a nap, going out to hunt, when a jackal appears, telling him that Shere Khan has just returned to his part of the jungle. Just after that, the wolf comes out and he looks around. Just to speak of the devil, he turns and he sees Shere Khan attacking a couple nearby. Now, before I move on, before I mention this part, Shere Khan is mentioned as the ghost tiger. Or legend has it that he's been attacking different villages around the area, humans and many more, and villages of all kinds. The jackal is meant to be his henchman, so he's meant to be warned by wolves about this whole thing. So when he comes and sees Shere Khan, the wolf comes and he attacks. Now, I don't know why the jackal just goes and tells him about this. It's kind of dealing into his job, but whatever. Anyway, so the older wolf comes up and he finds Shere Khan there, attacking this couple. And then before he goes to attack them, he attacks Shere Khan and tells the couple leave, the wolf distracting him. And then Shere Khan runs off. As the wolf was leaving to go, he finds a baby wandering around and he ends up taking it home with him. So when he got home and brought the baby with him, the mother wolf and the cubs were happy to see him. They all came closer together and take care of him, but not before Shere Khan comes and looks at the baby. He files that he'll kill that baby, but the mother stands up and attacks him immediately and says that he stays with the pack and he's overwhelmed keeping him as their own. Shere Khan runs away, but he does vow that he will get that man cub one day. But anyway, moving on, Mowgli gets adopted by the two wolves immediately. But before they adopt him, they have to go through some kind of court session with the wolf pack, with Akela, the leader. Now, for this part, it's actually against jungle law. What I mean by this is that the Jungle Book has this thing called a jungle law, where they have to provide certain rules in the jungle. One of those rules is that they can't have a human in the jungle because they one day fear that they're gonna round up all the humans and burn the jungle as we know it. So they had to have some things to convince Akela to keep Mowgli. And by the way, the reason why the wolves called the baby Mowgli is because of his thin skin. He looks like a frog. Mowgli refers to the frog. Also in this one, Shere Khan has a crippled leg. So he is known as the lame one sometimes too. Anyway, so Mowgli has to get in this court session. And his parents can't vouch, his adopted parents, wolves, can't vouch for him. So they had to get two other animals to vouch out for him to help out. Or like two lawyers or something like that. And the two they picked were Bagheera and Baloo. And this is where they come in. Baloo is and why you're probably wondering why a bear and panther. Well, Baloo is actually a teacher that teaches all the pups to hunt. This goes very well with Mowgli, considering because of the bare necessities and all that stuff. And then there's also Bagheera. Bagheera doesn't really have a reason to be there. He was just wandering around. Not only that, but he actually killed a bull for the wolves, and he wanted to pay them back by doing this. So they get closer together, and eventually Akela agrees to stay. He stays. And for roughly 10 years, it was like this. Mowgli was raised by the wolves, learning how to hunt and stuff. So during this point, which we'll get to eventually, is a backstory. There is a part in this story where Mowgli reminisces about a backstory, which we'll get to in a minute. But during this moment, he is learning, throughout his days, he learns the ways of the jungle and teaching him different things like hunting, learning the human language, and everything from Baloo and Bagheera. Now, I think this really works great because in the Disney version, Baloo teaches him the bare necessities, and this goes great with this idea. Enough. So, with that in mind, 10 years later passed, and Bagheera warns Mowgli that Shere Khan has returned back into the man village, and he vows vengeance to get back at him. Not only that, but Shere Khan can try to convince the other wolves to have a different leader, because Akela is there, and he's getting older. And he's trying to convince the other wolves that he should be the leader instead, which is, well, ridiculous. Kind of like in the live action one, where he tries to convince everyone that leaders are stinky and that he should be the leader instead. Anyway, when Bagheera tells Mowgli this, he tells him to go get a bucket of red flour. In other words, fire. Which is what Mowgli did. He came from the man village and took some fire and fed twigs and rocks until it was time. When it came time to come back to the wolf pack, Akela was not even there. And this is bad because that would mean that the leader task is open to anyone at this point. Akela has been attacked by a bull, and that's why he's late. So Shere Khan takes this chance to step up and talk. Before he could speak, though, Mowgli stands up and says, "He doesn't even go here." And he tries to... And that gives Akela enough time to actually come back and actually talk over. Shere Khan missed his chance. And then the wolves started saying a lot of things, like how they heard about Shere Khan, the rumors and stuff. Akela tried to explain everything that was going on and what Shere Khan did, and everyone was shocked. Everybody was arguing and going nuts. All the wolves, Shere Khan, and everybody. Eventually, Mowgli had enough of this and just poured the red flour all over the place, with fire everywhere. Of course, it didn't kill any of the wolf pack, oddly enough. It only damaged Shere Khan to go away, and it killed his henchmen. Unfortunately, because of the jungle law, for this, Mowgli has to be exiled out of the jungle. Unfortunately, but it was the only way he could stop him. Unfortunately, because Shere Khan, fire was his weakness, just like in the movie. Well, anyway, Bagheera takes Mowgli back to the jungle, takes him alongside him, and brings him back to the man village. And on the way there comes Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Mowgli, as he walks to the man village, exiling out of the jungle, he reminisces about his time when he was young with Baloo and Bagheera. One day, flashbacking here, one day Bagheera and Baloo were teaching him how to do certain things, like human language and stuff. He was teaching him the animal language, like how to say, "Help, I need you." This comes important later on. So, Mowgli is learning this, and he gets tired of it sometimes. He gets a little bratty every now and then. So, when he does, he gets tired of it, and he vows that he'll attack the monkeys onto them and start ally vengeance. Start of an army against them. Now, Baloo and Bagheera explain to Mowgli that monkeys are no good. They're like outcasts. Mowgli takes their word for it and doesn't even say any more about it. So when they go and take a nap, Mowgli just sits there playing until the monkeys, speak of the devils, kidnap him. Without a word. As Mowgli is being kidnapped, he does the thing he learned from Bagheera and Baloo to a hawk to go tell them what happened. So the hawk flies and tells Bagheera and Baloo what happened, and they follow and they try to get Mowgli back. But before they do, Bagheera suggests we go get Kaa. This is where Kaa comes in. So in this movie, Kaa is actually not really a villain. He's actually an ally. So Bagheera goes to get Kaa because he knows that snakes are a monkey's weakness. So he goes to get Kaa and tells him that the monkeys were talking bad things about him, saying insults. Because you see, usually Kaa would not save a man cub. He wouldn't really do that. So we had to get him to do something to say for a reason. Shere Khan would Kaa would be very powerful against monkeys because monkeys would be afraid of Kaa because he would slither up to the branch and eat them when they climb out trees. So he was the perfect job for this. So Kaa eventually agreed and eventually slithered along the way to where the monkeys are. Now, there is no King Louie in this one, so unfortunately there's just a pile of monkeys. And when we get there, Mowgli is just treated like a object. Mowgli hated it. He could see why Baloo and Bagheera did not like these guys at all. They're just treated like objects. They don't do a thing at all. And they just try to snuggle up with Mowgli all the time. And they wouldn't let him go. I mean, sure, that's bad, but hey, I always want to snuggle up right next to a monkey. Why not? But anyway, that's just me. But anyway, Mowgli just sits there. And eventually Bagheera, Baloo, and Kaa both come to rescue him. So when they come to rescue him, it's very similar to what happens in the movie. Attacking happens, juggling around Mowgli ensues, and many more. They eventually take Mowgli to a little tower guarded by other monkeys. Bagheera and Baloo attack their way towards the monkeys, and then they eventually get there. And Kaa, this is where he gets the hypnotizing idea, hypnotizes the monkeys to let Bagheera and Baloo pass and free Mowgli. Kaa looks at Mowgli and says that he looks delicious, but he figures there was no time to eat the man cub, and they eventually escape. When they got back, Mowgli reminisces about this, and he climbs in the back of Bagheera, and that's where the chapter ends. And now we get back to the actual chapter of chapter 3. Now, we get right back to where Mowgli is exiling to the man village. And he gets there. Once he gets there, Bagheera runs off, and he lets Mowgli be a part of the man village now. So he gets there, and all the humans look very afraid of him. Until a woman comes up to him and says, Aren't you the boy that was lost? Unfortunately, there was a legend where a boy got lost and got attacked by a tiger, and he was wondering if Mowgli was that boy. Now, no one really knows for sure, because there were multiple attacks from Shere Khan with many different kids. So no one really knows for sure if Mowgli was this particular kid. Of course, there was a mother of this kid who comes up to him and thinks Mowgli is her long-lost son, LeFou. Now, this is not confirmed, really. So we don't really know for sure if this mother really is Mowgli's son or not. We don't really know for sure. It's not really confirmed. But anyway, Mowgli agrees to go with the lady anyway, and she teaches him human language and stuff and how to adapt around the village for a while. Mowgli did not really adapt too well at first, so he actually stayed. He had to sleep somewhere. So when he went to go to sleep in the house, there was nowhere to sleep. He couldn't get uncomfortable in his bed, and it felt like a panther trap to him. So he slept outside instead. But he was awoken by one of his wolf brothers telling him that Shere Khan is back, and he vows to get him. And then Mowgli's like, let him come. The wolf brother agrees, and he keeps up to date of when Shere Khan gets closer and everything that's going on. So Mowgli takes around the village, and well, it's not very easy for him. He gets laughed at by the other children, and he vows that he'll fight them with rocks and stuff, but this didn't really go anywhere because it was against jungle law to do so. So he also jungle law to do so. So he was forced to wear clothes and stuff. Eventually, Mowgli got into a lot of trouble in the village, so he ended up actually working for the bulls. Actually, he did bull farming instead, and worked over there with the servants. Every now and then, he would get called into servant meetings, and they would talk about different stories and stuff. The one man there was talking about different stories of the jungle and the ghost tiger of Shere Khan. As Mowgli was hearing all these stories, he knew they were all lies. So he came up and said, "That's a lie," and he tells him the real story. This makes the man pissed off and just leaves it alone for a while. The man is like, "If you know so much, how about you go get the tiger's hide and prove it?" Mowgli ignores this and just goes back to doing his usual work at the man village and doesn't really bother. Until one day, his wolf brother again comes back and tells Mowgli that Shere Khan has come back. Mowgli actually was closer to his work in this case. He actually was when I was at the bull place, his brother could actually get closer enough to actually talk to him with nobody noticing. So he tells that Shere Khan is back, and he tells him to rebel up everybody. So that's what Mowgli did. He rebelled up all the wolves, got all the bulls together too, and crossed the river barrier to get to where Shere Khan is. He gathers up everybody, and Shere Khan is ready. Shere Khan actually takes a nap for a while, but Mowgli actually plans this whole thing out before Shere Khan can even plan a thing for him. So he takes a little nap. Shere Khan comes out, and he doesn't see anybody until he sees a bunch of bull running towards him, and more coming towards him. He runs alongside and gets away as fast as he can, but he's too slow for his crippled leg. Eventually, he gets grounded by all the wolves too, and many more, until eventually he gets almost the last thing he sees is Mowgli trampling him to death with the bull. With that, Mowgli comes down and he celebrates with Shere Khan's body. Before he could, though, the man from before comes out, and he says, "Thank you, I'll take it from here." And Mowgli's like, "Heck no," and has the wolf attack him. And he's like, "Ugh, you can control the animals. You have some dark magic." And then he runs off. But Mowgli had more problems to worry about, because after this, he comes back to the man village, and well, there was an angry mob after him, apparently. Because the man told the whole village that Mowgli actually has dark magic and control the animals. So they throw rocks and mud at him. And the man even tries to shoot Mowgli at one point, but misses and shoots one of the bulls instead. He doesn't even admit that he missed. He says that, "Oh, Mowgli actually has magical bullets that can move on its own." Even makes the humans even more, which makes Mowgli run off. He has no safe in him. He figures, I guess I just not wanted here. So I guess he leaves. He thanks the mother for staying, and he leaves. The son's mother, to stay, and he leaves. He comes back to the wolf pack and is welcomed with open arms, to a surprise. The mother wolf thanks him, but he was still exiled. Neither Akela or him could be the leader at this point because, well, both of them broke jungle law. So what they decided to do was pretty interesting. What they did was that Mowgli just decided to hunt on his own within the jungle and just live his life as a loner animal, as a wild animal sort. As the wolves actually hunt on their own as well. I don't know what really happens, but I think that's my telling of the story of what happened. You can look at the book and find out for yourself, but I think this is how this story ends, with them kind of running together as wild loners. Mowgli just hangs out in the jungle forever, pretty much, unless you want to hear the other ending. So actually, the story has two different endings. One has Mowgli just living in the jungle forever as a wild animal, and then one has a different ending where he actually grows up and he's married to a wife and kids. But it ends with Rudyard Kipling said that's a story for grown-ups. So that is the story of the Jungle Book. What'd you think? Mowgli is actually not as bad as I thought he was in the story all too much. But what did you guys think of Mowgli? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!